Pokémon has been a series I've been in love with since I was about 5 years old, my first game being Pokémon Yellow. I had the toys, watched the anime, and most generations I had every variation of the game. The Pokémon series was one of the first series I really got into and has been a huge part of my life ever since. So, needless to say, I'm definitely a fan. However, I think I may have some unpopular opinions on the direction the series has headed in over the years. Let's dive in. Pokémon Red and Green came out in 1996 and was brought to America in 1998 as Red and Blue. Upon introduction, the games had the slogan, "Gotta catch 'em all," and even the anime was centered around this. And at the time, that was exactly the fun of it, catching all of the Pokémon, as well as memorizing them. There were the Who's That Pokémon commercials, posters that listed all 151 Pokémon, the Pokémon rap that named them all.
Only time for Boreon, Poliwrath, Butterfree! Catch 'em, gotta catch 'em all.
It was a huge deal back then to know every Pokémon by name and, as the slogan says, try to catch them all. This method encouraged you to play with your friends, so you could trade back and forth the version-exclusive Pokémon. Some Pokémon only evolved from trading, but it was fun. Those moments on the playground when someone tells you they have a certain Pokémon that you just can't seem to find for your Pokédex, it was part of the shtick of it all. The objective used to be 1. Get all the gym badges, 2. Become the champion, 3. Complete the Pokédex. And that used to be a reasonable demand. But over the years, things have changed. The slogan, "Gotta catch 'em all," has disappeared from the media after around Generation 3. Even Generation 4 changed the Pokédex so it focuses on seen Pokémon rather than caught Pokémon. But why? Is this a good change? That's what I want to discuss. Generation 1 was all about knowing and catching every Pokémon. Generation 2 did the same. Yes, Generation 2 added 100 new Pokémon, but it wasn't a huge task to memorize the new ones, nor was it all that difficult to complete the Pokédex. I mean, sure, back then it seemed like the biggest challenge of all, but compared to now, 251 Pokémon were nothing to capture. Same as Gen 1, all you needed were some friends to change. Or I'm sure if you had the money, you could have just had 2 Game Boys and multiple copies of the game, but let's be honest, most of us didn't. You could even trade back and forth with Gen 1 games in Gen 2, making it even easier to catch them all. But then Gen 3 came and changed things up a bit. Yes, it was still reasonable to know all the Pokémon, since they only added about 135 new ones. There would be about 386 in total at this point, which is a good many, but not unrealistic. But with this generation, the phrase "gotta catch 'em all" was removed from the box art. In this generation, you can no longer trade with older generations, meaning the only Pokemon you could catch would be the ones in the game. And in the first release of the generation, it was not possible to finish the National Dex without cheating. More games came out later, and that made this task doable. We saw the release of Fire Red and Leaf Green, as well as the third installment, Pokémon Emerald, plus the GameCube games Pokémon Colosseum and XD Gale of Darkness, which between all of those games you could complete the Pokédex if you really wanted to, but it was a challenge this time still. Which brings us to Gen 4, one of the most well-known and well-liked Pokémon generations. I still at this age made it a point to know all of the new Pokémon and still wanted to catch them all, even though it was far too difficult for me at my age and with the amount of Pokémon there now were. We were up to 493 now. Whew, that's a lot. I mentioned earlier, but this was the generation that changed the Pokédex to no longer focus on catching Pokémon, which is understandable being as there's now almost 500 of them. The only reason I was able to somewhat keep up with them all was because I'd been following the franchise from the start at this point. Someone brand new is going to have a hard time getting to know all 500. But as much as I love Generation 4, this is where it starts to go downhill for me. The series started falling away from its fun gotta catch 'em all roots, and making it even harder for us to even know all of the Pokemon. The first couple generations, it was exciting to speculate what kind of new Pokemon were gonna come with the new games, but in doing so, we were stepping farther and farther from the roots that made this franchise so fun. It only gets worse from here, but Gen 4 was when it became apparent to me that all these new Pokemon are basically just that generation's spin on Pokemon we already have. There's not many that are new or special from here. Starly was just that generation's Pidgey or Tailo. Bidoof was just this generation's Rattata, Sentret, or Zigzagoon. Things are starting to get repetitive. Again, I love Gen 4. I didn't start noticing these things until later as more games came out, but Gen 4 was when these slight intrusive thoughts began that we've just been playing the same game with some alterations. And you would hope that a multi-million-dollar company would soon realize that they can't just keep giving us the same game with some similar yet different Pokemon Pokemon in some similar yet different towns and cities, but that wasn't the case. With each new game, I find myself less interested, and instead going back to play the ones I grew up with, back when this franchise was in its, what I refer to as its golden age. At this present moment, we now have 898 Pokemon, not counting the different variations. I'm sorry, but that's just too many if you ask me. I am guilty of skipping some of the games, but I feel like even if I hadn't, I'd still have those "who is this Pokemon" moments constantly. Maybe I'm just getting old or something, but my brain cannot store 898 Pokemon easily. Is having this many Pokemon a bad thing though? Honestly, I think it is. Hear me out. But first, you should check out my Patreon. I would love to make videos for a living, but I'm a busy person, so I could use a little financial help to be able to pour some focus into just making more and more videos for you guys. In return, you'll get free merch, exclusive videos now and then, and so much more, so please check that out. It's linked in the description. But anyway, back to business. Yes, things were fine up to Generation 3. We can even let Generation 4 squeak in maybe, but there's gotta be a stopping point. We can't just be on Generation 94 with 10,000 different Pokemon one day. Could you even imagine? But I honestly think even the 900 we have now is too many. This series needed to pause and change things up long ago. They've done it a few times, but it's been more in the form of side games while they continued releasing mainline games with more Pokemon. I'm thinking back to like the Pokemon Coliseum and Gale of Darkness games. These games introduced no new Pokemon. Instead, they gave us an intricate story and even in a new region. Pokemon being made into evil fighting machines called Shadow Pokemon that we had to steal from other trainers and purify back to normal. The story is one of my favorites from any Pokemon game, and it was able to use the Pokemon we already have. Obviously, this story has been used now, and what we want to get away from is reusing the same story. But I'm saying this is an example of something different that was still just as fun. Imagine a mainline Pokemon game with a premise like that instead of your usual get your 8 badges and challenge the league while defeating a new Team Rocket spinoff. Even different variations of current Pokemon were cool. Sun and Moon did not have the best gameplay or stories, but the Alolan versions of Pokemon we've known for years was a really cool twist. I still knew Vulpix was Vulpix, but yet it was made different in an exciting way. I couldn't wait to find Pokemon that I already knew to see how different they were in this region. Though the totem system was dumb there, it still was a cool take seeing different variations of old Pokemon. They could have went that entire generation without adding any new ones, and it would have been just as fun. I guess what I'm saying is that the fun of knowing all the Pokemon was what made it so popular in the beginning, and that's what I miss. It feels so diluted now by having too many Pokemon we couldn't possibly remember them all, let alone catch them all. And of course, it's too late now. They can't just erase several generations and start over, but they can at least stop saturating the Pokédex with unnecessary new Pokemon every generation and making us play the same story all over again. And I hope that this is what they're doing with Legends Arceus in January. I haven't seen much about the games other than the trailers, but I truly hope this is bringing a game changer that will make the franchise exciting again. I want to be excited about Pokemon again, and not just when they're remaking one of the old classics I enjoyed. And I hope they're able to do this. But don't get me wrong, I still love the Pokemon franchise and will keep playing games here and there. Yeah, I might skip one of the newer ones if it seems like it's just another useless rendition of a bunch of new Pokemon that I don't care to remember, along with the same collect gym badge stories and probably even more hand-holding than we've ever had before because that's something they like to keep adding in. But I just needed to get this off my chest and see if anybody agreed with me, so please comment your thoughts down below. And don't forget to subscribe and have your notifications turned on. Please support me on Patreon so I can continue producing content for you, hopefully even more frequently, and do this for a living. All those links are down in the description, and I will catch you next time.